Hi, first grade. It's Thursday, April 16th, 2020. Today we're going to do some phonics. We're going to do some practice reading and some learning to read new words. Okay, so today we're going to talk about 4 different sounds. One of the sounds is the G-E sound or G-I sound. In these words, the G makes the J sound, like the letter J. So see, these are some of the words that we're going to talk about. Cage, ginger, you can get them apart, gentle, and magic. So if you were listening carefully as I read those words, the G makes the J sound, just like the letter J in all of those words. Okay, now I'm going to put up our chart like we had in our classroom, and what I'd like you to do is try to read the words with me, and then we'll have some sentences at the bottom. So my helper Alexa is going to hold up the chart for you.
Hi everyone.
Okay, so at the top we have G-E and G-I. Both of those together make the J sound, okay? Now, I'd like you to try to read the words with me on the next part. We're going to go across the rows. Okay, ready? Gem, book, stage, shout, cook, gentle, town, round, magic, look, cloud, page. Okay, now we have some look and say words. I'd like you to read these with me if you can. Would, often, full, both, by, today, every, often, today, could, because, full. Okay, now we have another set of words. This part's called read the words, so I just want you to try to read them with me. We're going across the rows. Fried, try, spies, cries, dried, cry, pride, fries, tried. Then at the very bottom of this chart, we have a story. So read it with me. Today my family and I went to the park. My mom and dad walked. Okay, now we have another set of sounds together, and these sounds make the J sound too, and it's D, G, and E. So the words I'm going to read to you all have D, G, and E in them together, and those letters together make the J sound, like the letter J. So we have edge, fudge, hedge, and badge. Did you hear the J sound that the D, G, and E make? Okay, now Alexa will put up the next chart. And let's go through our sound and say words together. Okay? So the first one is cage, bridge, look, edge, badge, out, drew, about, gem, ledge, ginger, fudge. Okay, now we're on the look and say words, so read them with me. Often, mother, full, father, why, today, more, often, full, only, today, color. Okay, the next part, read the words with me. I'm going across the rows. Tries, dry, fried, spy, pride, spies, cried, try, dries. Okay, now we're at the bottom and we're going to read the sentences. Bill is afraid of snakes. Number 2 says, Chelsea likes to eat vegetables. Okay, now we're done with that chart. Now we have another sound. The new sound is the AU and AW sound. They make the ah sound in words. So I have some examples of words with AU and AW. The first one is faucet, saw, fault, and draw. So all of those words have either AU or AW in them. It makes the ah sound. So this is our next chart. Let's go through our sound and say words first. Saw, badge, cause, shower, cage, hawk, noun, gentle, paw, book, house, auto. Okay, the next part, look and say words. Try to read with me. Today, around, full, early, often, every, money, around, early, those, wash, money. Okay, on the next set of words, we're going to read the parts. Then I'll read the whole word. So read the parts with me, then we'll put the word together. Baby, baby. Candy, candy. Cherry, cherry. Muddy, muddy. Silly, silly. Sloppy, sloppy. Penny, penny. Smelly, smelly. Lucky, lucky. Funny, funny. Windy, windy. Bunny, bunny. And then at the bottom, read the sentences with me. It was a hot August day. Ken looked out his window. Okay, let's go on to our last new sound. This one is the AL sound. It's all. So, our words are salt, ball, malt, and call. Okay, so Alexa, our chart. Okay, so at the top we have the AL sound. Remember, it makes the all sound. So let's do our sound and say words first. Tall, haunt, chalk, edge, gentle, talk, fudge, took, mall, page, author, small. Okay, the look and say words. Around, once, love, money. Walk, early, around, family. Money, people, along, early. Okay, now we're going to read the parts of the words together, then we're going to put the parts together and read the whole word. Jelly, jelly. Rocky, rocky. Handy, handy. Rusty, rusty. Happy, happy. Sandy, sandy. Funny, funny. Candy, candy. Grumpy, grumpy. Sticky, sticky. Silly, silly. Muddy, muddy. Okay, let's read the sentences at the bottom. Number 1 says, Please put the milk in the refrigerator. Ooh, that's a big word. Number 2 says, Mike went to see his aunt at the hospital. Okay, so those are our charts and our new sounds for today. Thank you, Alexa. Do you want to wave goodbye?
Bye, guys.
Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do is read a Berenstain Bears book. It's called Mind Your Manners. There was trouble in the big tree house down a sunny dirt road deep in bear country. Trouble with manners. The bear family's trouble with manners was that they forgot them. At first, it was just an occasional please or thank you that was forgotten. Then there was a rude push without an excuse me. Then a reach across the table instead of a please pass the broccoli. Mama Bear wasn't quite sure how or why it happened, but she was sure of one thing. Whatever the reason, the bear family had become a pushing, shoving, name-calling, ill-mannered mess. They're saying silly head, fuzz brain, noodle puss. At the table, it was even worse. They were a grabbing, mouth-stuffing, food-fighting, kicking under the table, super mess. Of course, Mama Bear tried to correct brother and sister's behavior. She tried coaxing, she tried complaining, she tried shouting. She tried going to Papa for help, though it sometimes seemed to Mama that he was part of the problem. Papa banged on the table and shouted as only he could shout, but nothing really seemed to do any good. Mama didn't like what was happening to her family, not one bit. Something had to be done. But what? The best way to fight bad habits, she thought, was with good habits. Then she thought of a plan. She got a big piece of cardboard and a marker. At the top, she wrote, "The Bear Family Politeness Plan." When the plan was finished, she called a family meeting and showed it to Papa and the cubs. Mama's plan had a list of all the rude things she wanted to stop. Beside each one was a penalty, a job or a chore that went with it. If you forgot a please or a thank you, you had to sweep the front steps. If you pushed or shoved, you had to beat 2 rugs. If you got caught name-calling, you had to clean the whole cellar. The cellar is like the basement. "But Mama," sputtered the cubs, "you're not being fair." "It seems to me," she said, "that you're the ones who aren't being fair to yourselves or anyone else. That's what manners are all about, being fair and considerate. Manners are very important. They help us get along with each other. Why, without manners—" "Your Mama's absolutely right," interrupted Papa. "Thank you, Papa, for your comment. But interrupting is number 3 on the rude list, and the penalty is dusting the downstairs," Mama said, and handed him the feather duster. Said Brother. "This looks serious. I think we'd better come up with a plan of our own, or we're going to be doing a lot of extra chores." "What kind of plan?" asked Sister. "Well," he said, "instead of just being polite, we'll be super polite. We'll say please and thank you so much that Mama will get fed up and call the whole thing off." "Yes," said Sister. "We'll be so polite she won't be able to stand it." They put their plan into action. They were super polite. On the stairs. "After you, Sister dear." "Thank you, dear brother." In the hall. "Excuse me, brother dear." "Why, certainly, my dear sister." Waiting for the bathroom. "Terribly sorry we have kept you waiting." "Think nothing of it, my dear." But it didn't work the way they expected. Mama didn't get fed up at all. And after a while, Brother and Sister forgot about being super polite and were just polite. At the table. "Pass the honey, please." "Certainly." In their room. "Would you like me to help you pick up your toys?" "Thank you very much." In the yard. "Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you." "That's all right. No harm done." And it turned out that Mama had been right. Things did go more smoothly. Once they got into the good manners habit, they didn't even have to think about it. But it wasn't so easy for Papa. He was the one who got. It's a little harder to change habits when you're older, and he had to do quite a few extra chores for forgetting his manners. I'm glad to get out of the house, away from that politeness plan, he said as he drove the family along the highway on a trip to the supermarket. Manners and courtesy are just as important away from home, especially on the road, said Mama, as they stopped at a stop sign to let pedestrians and other cars pass. They help us drive safely. Well, grumbled Papa as they all went into the busy supermarket, I think you can have too much of a good thing. You've got to have common sense along with manners. Why, if you let everyone go ahead of you at the checkout, you'd be there forever. And sometimes you have to interrupt. Excuse me, madam, he interrupted a shopper, but I believe you have a leaking bottle in your cart. The shopper thanked him for his help. You see, he said, driving home, there's more to life than remembering your manners. Besides, manners are all right for cubs and mama bears. But we papa bears have other things to think about. It says, bonk. At that moment, the car in front stopped suddenly and Papa bumped into it. He was furious. Why, that pin-headed fiddle brain, he snarled. Name-calling, reminded Sister. The penalty for name-calling was cleaning the whole cellar, so Papa gritted his teeth and remembered his manners. And a good thing, too, because climbing out of the other car was the biggest, angriest bear he'd ever seen. But when the angry bear saw how polite Papa was, he remembered his manners, too. He explained that he had stopped short because a mama duck and her ducklings had crossed in front of him. Then he and Papa Bear looked at their bumpers and saw that no harm had been done. As I was saying, said Papa as they continued on their way, it's very important for us to remember our manners at all times. And I want to thank you, Sister, for reminding me to remember mine. You're very welcome, I'm sure, said Sister Bear politely. I like that story. It's really, really important to use good manners all the time. I know we talked a lot about that at school, too. Okay, have a good day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.